Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Yankees Farm Report. Today, I have Marcus with me and Mark with me and Marcus. That was confusing. Sorry.
It's gonna be fun saying both our names.
Yeah, yeah. And before we begin, I just want to ask you to hit that subscribe button for me. Help me reach the next milestone, which is 3,500. I think I'm less than 80 away from that. So if you could help me out with that, I would truly appreciate it. And let's get right into it. At Tampa, let's talk about the good at Tampa. Let me get right into it. Griffin Herring looks amazing so far. Four and two-thirds inning, three hits, a run, three walks, six strikeouts. He's off to an amazing start down there.
Oh, absolutely. I think he's doing pretty well. It's you can't go pitching is always going to be the main part to what happens for especially in the Yankees, especially in the
Mhm.
in the minor leagues. Um, but Griffin Herring's doing well. Griffin Herring, no 0.00 ERA, 0.97 whip, four and two-thirds of an inning. So, you don't expect him to go too deep down there, but just showing what he can do right now, I
I
think I
mean,
think is something that you can build upon and probably get pushed up sometime in the summertime to the Renegades.
yeah. I mean, basically, the good at Tampa is the pitching, right? You had Griffin Herring, which I just mentioned. Gage Zeo made his debut, four and a third inning, shutout, no walks, two strikeouts. Kate Austin in relief pitched two innings, one hit, no runs, four strikeouts, a really good run. Danny Flat, four innings, three hits, one earned run, two strikeouts. Grayson Carter was much better this time around, three and a third, four hits, two runs, two walks. Walks were down, which is good, six strikeouts. And Tony Rossi, two and two-thirds innings, one hit, three strikeouts. Um, from what I've seen from him, I mean, he looks good. He looks like a guy to keep an eye on. I like what I've seen from him so far. On the offensive side of thing, Parks Harbor hit over 300, 1117 OPS, three extra base hits, two home runs, seven RBIs. For me, he was the player of the week down in Tampa. Dylan Lewis looked pretty good as well. He was one of the draft picks from last year. Hit 278, 825 OPS. He hit a home run, three walks, two stolen bases. Marshall Toole also had a good week, 273, 606 OPS. And Brian Sanchez, 263, 807 OPS, three extra base hits, two stolen bases, two walks. Sanchez has pretty much been the most consistent and best offensive player on that team so far to start the season.
He's like a what do we got here kind of guy because he
Hmm.
he's not he doesn't because they traded for him and he was obscure when they traded for him. He's such a young guy that he doesn't have that been a Yankee the whole time pedigree where we might have gotten to know him and now he's getting to the level where we can actually watch him play.
Hmm.
It's what do we have here? How much athlete he's playing center field and
Right.
he looks good to me,
Hmm.
and looks good in the batter's box too. So I'm really interested in what we got here because out of the young guys or the younger guys there, Parks Harbor's 23
Hmm.
and played at a big time college program, but out of these young guys, Sanchez is the only one that's gotten off to a good start at the plate.
Yeah, and just real quick, if you haven't seen any of the Tampa guys, because they're not playing in their home field right now, so the only time we can pretty much see them is that when they're not at home. And I was lucky enough to post video for almost all of these guys this week. I think this week again they're on the road, so there should be more. There will be more video. Today's game, by the way, today is Wednesday, was not a good one for the offense, so there was nothing. I don't think there was anything in that game. On the offensive side, a double from Roderick Arias, and that's about it. So going back to what you said, Mark, before, Roderick Arias is off to a slow start. I think I mentioned that last week. He did have a good two-game run there, but he overall is just off to a slow start. And we saw this from him last season. So I wouldn't say something to worry about, but if I'm being honest, I'm a little surprised. I thought he would have been playing a little bit better, or he would have been hitting a little bit better, especially off of what he did in the second half of last season. But it's still early. It's only what they're entering the second week of the season
10
for them.
games.
Yeah. Englet Ureña is also off to a slow start. Eglin Perez is also stalled out of the gate. And it's really early right now. It's 2 weeks into the season. I think this is the second week, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, third week of the season. It's
Yeah,
still real early, but this is you would have hoped to have seen better starts to all of these guys.
right. How about Chris Veach? I'm interested in what he's throwing. Is that a changeup? Is that a fork ball?
I
I
thought it
don't know
was a
what he's
changeup.
throwing.
I
It
thought
could
it
be
was
All
a
that
right.
new kick. It could be that new kick changeup that everyone's talking about.
Yeah,
That's what Griffin
it's
Herring has, I believe.
Mhm.
yes, right. And this one doesn't look like, I mean, I just watching your video, Carlos. I did not, I don't know if I don't know if it looks like the kick changed so much
Mhm.
because it doesn't have the depth. But it's definitely it's kind of got an interesting shape to it. I just not smart enough to find the the advanced metrics to give me a classification of what it would be.
Yeah,
But
I
they
thought it was a
obviously
dink.
think something of him because
Mhm.
he's on the breakout roster, late ad there.
Mhm.
So he's a guy I got my eye on.
And Gage
Yeah.
Zeal also did had a pretty good outing too. I mean, he went four
Mhm.
and two thirds, two strikeouts, but I mean, that's someone, that's someone I always had my eye on. I watched him a lot, yeah, out of the University of Miami. So I like someone who's a bulldog kind of guy. Like he might not be the flashiest person. He might not have the most stuff. His the velocity might not be there, but he wants the ball, he wants to pitch, and that's something that you can always kind of get behind in a pitcher. At least that's one of my opinions of pitching. Like that he's gonna go out there and compete every time. He might not have the best stuff, and today might not be his day, but he's gonna dig in, he's gonna grind, and he's gonna give you everything he's got, and that's something that the defense behind him can appreciate and kind of work even harder just for someone like that.
It reminds me of like of a Richard Fitz who was at
Mhm.
Tampa, and yeah, he got to Somerset before the Yankees traded him to Boston. I won't say for who because thank God that's over. All right, moving on to Hudson Valley. The good at Hudson Valley is the pitching, and that's always going to be their calling card at Hudson Valley. Kyle Carr through 2 games, 8 and 2/3 innings, 4 hits, just one run allowed, 5 walks, but I believe 4 of those came in one start, 8 strikeouts. Ben Hess went 4 and 2/3 inning, shutout baseball, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. Pretty much did the same thing today again. Cole Ayers came out of the bullpen, 4 and 1/3, no runs allowed, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. And Bryce Warwick had a monster game. I think it was on Saturday, I want to say. He went 3 and 2/3 innings, shutout ball, no walks, 6 strikeouts. Will Bryan was another guy, 3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 4 strikeouts. He pitched last night off of Carlos Lagrange. I think he threw 3 innings, if I'm not mistaken. No hits or 1 hit, no runs, no runs, no walks, and 5 strikeouts. Chris Keene is another guy, 3 innings, 3 innings shutout ball, 3 strikeouts. And Carlos Lagrange last night, absolutely amazing. I don't know if you guys got to see that start.
That was That's dominance.
Yeah.
That's putting guys away with three different pitches.
Hmm.
The slider was dirty, and
Yeah.
he was where the guys who were down in the order, he just overpowered them with his fastball.
Yeah.
And that's when I get excited about a
Hmm.
starter. Like when he can throw the fastball by you at four seamer, we got something here. And
Hmm.
then two pitches that it wasn't like he was just up there throwing fastballs.
Yeah.
Everything was working.
Hmm. And the slider for me has a little bit more bite, and I think I noticed that in the breakout game or just before that, and I was like, "Well, what is this?" Because the slider had a little bit more bite to it. It looked a little bit more sharp, a little more crisp, which you definitely want to see. It's part of his progression. Um, I had a couple people that were hitting me up and say, "Yo, are you watching the Lagrange game?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah," but I'm like watching it like this. Like I'm not trying to get too excited because
Right.
if I'm being honest, something that happens to Lagrange, and I see it kind of happen often, is that he gets derailed, right? And it could be a walk, it could be a hits batsman, but when it happens, when he hits a guy, he gives up a single, and then it's a double, and then he kind of gets derailed. But and it almost happened in the game last night, but I guess the maturation is starting to kick in, right? Because he found his way out of the inning. He found his way out of the inning, and he put all of that behind him. And after that, he was just mowing him down.
It kind of is the opposite of, if you guys remember, it was the one of the flamethrowers, not it was not Luis Hill, it was Luis Medina. So
Mm,
Luis Medina would always run into that same problem where it it would start to derail and everything, besides his control issues, but everything would start to derail for him and he couldn't fix it. Like I remember watching the Caribbean World Series when Yadi Molina was his catcher, and Yadi Molina had like took him and said, "I'm going to get you through this inning." And I was hoping like something like that like would stick with Luis Medina, and he would progress forward with the when he was with the Yankees. Obviously, it didn't happen, and he's over in Oakland, and I can't even tell you how he's doing right now. But
mm. And
um, it,
that's one of the things that I had always worried about with Lagrange sometimes that sometimes he gets derailed, but when
mhm.
he's on it, man. And I'm glad that, like I said, he was able to find a way through and get to the other side and not implode.
Well, maybe that breakout series kind of gave him that confidence. I mean, don't forget
Hmm.
he went to the AFL or
Hmm.
Arizona, the Arizona
Yeah.
Fall League. He did well there. He then took that into the breakout series.
He
He did
actually,
really well.
no, he did not do that well in the AFL. He had
Yeah,
command issues there, which were, to me, it was a little surprising. I didn't expect it to be that bad, but thankfully he came back this season and he looks good, man. He looks good. I think in the first game, or in last week, yeah, it was the first game of the season. I think he gave up 5, 6 runs. It wasn't as bad as the box score uh had him at, but I think, and I told him, I was like, look, these are the most important things of that night for you, and I highlighted the 2 lines: 1 walk, 9 strikeouts.
yeah.
And it's such an important point that that mental side of things, the maturity of being
Hmm.
able to get through adversity. I mean, that's what he's there for.
Yeah.
But with a guy like that, it's look at the pitches he has, and then please stay healthy, please throw strikes, and then you get to that point where like, all right, the fine tune is now how do you learn how to pitch and get through an inning and rely on your defense when you have to and all those things. That's all part of the process. And I mean, really, not a lot of innings under this guy's belt to
Hmm.
start with, right?
Yeah.
He's he's just a colt, so it's gonna he can take his time, but the signs right now are really fun.
Before I move on to the hitting side, I think I just want to say one thing. I just definitely want to give him his props, and I told him last night that I was really happy for him, and I was excited for the outcome. And he said something that hit me right here, man. He said something to me. He said thank you for always supporting me, and thank you for being one of my day ones. And look, I'm getting chills right now, but it hit me right here. It hit me right here because a lot of the time these IFA kids, especially, just signing, they don't get much shine. People don't really speak about them. They don't publicize much of what the stuff that they're doing. And these kids are putting in work, right? They're trying to get off of the island. They're trying to get to Tampa and move on to the next level. So definitely wanted to give him his props for that, man. I'm really happy for the guy, man. I'm really, really
That's
happy for him.
great thing what you do is you're supporting the person, not just some guy who plays baseball who then people go on the internet and complain about when they don't do well. So these are people and you're highlighting that part of it, and that's really important.
And not just people, like a lot of them are still kids in
Yeah,
essence,
right.
like let's be honest about that. They're young, they're still maturing as their bodies are still maturing, they're still maturing as people and human beings and
Hmm.
having getting that confidence, not just seeing their progression on the baseball side, what their profession is, but to have people to sit down there and actually hit them up and say, "Yo, you did a really good job." Like here, like Carlos just said, here's the things like to really look at. That's the type of stuff that kind of helps drive them forward even more. Like
Yeah.
that's the kind of motivation that's there.
Yeah,
Even
and
guys like us who are so interested in these things and talk about these things, it's so hard to do what they're doing.
mhm.
And I think sometimes we lose sight of that. I know a lot of people lose sight of that. It's so
Yeah.
difficult to do what they're doing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that for me doing this now, what, 3+ years now, like I have a different mindset to them. Like before I used to just see them as, oh, Yankees needed whatever, let's just trade blah 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 for that. But now to me it's like I see them as people, not just assets.
Those are your guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
that's
watch them grow.
that's that's why it hurts me so much when Augustine Ramirez was traded. I was like,
I was
no.
gonna say I'm worried about you at the trade deadline this year.
Oh man, listen, I'm like this on my phone: refresh, 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 refresh.
Hey
uh,
man, it's the same thing with like coach. I coach my son in little league, and you watch. It's funny watching like T. I had kids from T-ball. Now we're in like the machine pitch era, and they're moving up to all kid pitch now. And you just watch their progressions along the way, and
mhm.
you feel like, hey, I had in
You're
the
part of that.
essence like that's even if it becomes just a little blip in the radar, but it's a page or it's a chapter or it's a sentence in their book of life, and the fact that you could give a positive influence is the best thing in the world to do.
Mhm. Yeah, moving on to the offensive side of things, Antonio Gomez, I believe he was my player of the week down at Hudson Valley. He hit 333, 968 OPS, home run, 5 RBIs. Austin Jackson had a monster game. I think it was a Saturday game, if I'm not mistaken. He had 286, 3 extra base hits, 6 RBIs, 5 walks, 2 stolen bases. George Lombard hit 278, 409, 687 OPS, and RBI, 4 walks. and 2 stolen bases on the season, or heading into tonight. He was hitting 333, 975 OPS, 7 extra base hits, a home run, 5 RBIs, 8 walks, 9 strikeouts, and 4 stolen bases. Before we move into that, let me just say something real quick about Lombard. Lombard, I don't know if you guys if this happens to you, but you have a prospect that you follow, right? And you root for them, and you think that they're gonna break out, right? That they're gonna be able to make it. You think, right? But you sometimes there's a moment where you think turns into like, yeah, no, I know now. I know now. And I think I'm there with Lombard. I think I'm there with Lombard.
Welcome to the club.
I
I'll
mean,
say
like I'm seeing like what people were talking about in reference to like, oh, he's got the body, he's got the baseball IQ, and all of that. Like before, like I said, I hope Lombard would be. I thought he could be, but like now I see it.
I'm still struggling. I think he's going to he's showing he's going to be there. I like what I see.
Hmm.
There's just something I don't know what it is. In my there's something in my brain that says it's there, but it's not going to always be there. And
Hmm.
I have a like he's doing fantastic in high A ball, and
Yeah.
he's gotten a hit in every single game he's played in so
Hmm.
far. Like I'm can't get you just keep giving the kid his flowers. He put the time in the off season. He got stronger. You saw him in the breakout series. You saw him in spring training. They pushed him a lot in spring training. So all this is good for him.
Hmm.
I I don't know if it's the fact that I was always a Roderick fan, and I wish Roderick would be the one being pushed forward, and I'll have full disclosure on that. But I always saw Lombard as kind of like what I saw in Volpe, where
Yeah.
Volpe is good, but there's something there that I never saw him as I don't see Volpe as long-term solution for the Yankees. He
Well,
might
just
be a
look.
long-term second baseman, but not long-term at shortstop. And I kind of had that feeling with Lombard too. It's like he's there, but he's not long-term at shortstop. He's gonna have to find a new position at some point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm still a Roderick fan. I'm still a huge
Oh,
believer in Roderick, man. I'm really hoping that he turns it around. Like I said, it's very early. He did the same thing last season. I'm not at that point where I'm concerned. And yeah, I wish that he was doing a little bit better? Absolutely, absolutely. But I'm not taking away anything from what Lombard is doing.
yeah.
Like I said, my eyes are open now. Like I see it now.
Oh yeah, no. This is like the breakout, like this spring through the breakout series through right now is this is his homecoming party right now because
Yeah.
he got on the top 100 list on the pipeline.
Mhm.
He's now at 98. All signs are pointing by when they
Yeah,
redraw when
arrows
we
pointing up.
yeah when they redo this thing midseason, he's getting close to top 50, if not going to be in the top 50.
Yeah.
Um, but after that, I mean, you gotta give him his props along the way.
Hmm.
And he's passing every test right now, including I mean, he just looks so polished. The swing looks so good for someone with that little pro experience. And I know I keep harping on this. This is a Florida kid playing in 30-degree weather with an OPS over 1,000. I mean, anything that you could say is an obstacle to him right now is not looking like an obstacle. So
Hmm.
it's just like, please keep doing this.
Yeah.
But he's at the point with me where I'm going to be surprised if he's not
Mm.
a good pro.
And yeah, so in regards to Hudson Valley, I did want to mention Bryce Cunningham. He was hit hard in the last outing. I think he allowed 6 runs, 5 were in the first inning. But again, he righted the ship right after that. He settled in, and I think he went on to strike out 6. He did only have 1 walk, which was good to see. One other guy I wanted to mention was Elmer Rodriguez Cruz. Um, I, I I I hoped he would have been pitching a little bit better than what he's done so far. I mean, again, it's still very early. 9 innings, 5 runs, 6 walks, 9 strikeouts. Brendan Jones was another one I was going to say has been slow out of the gate. He did homer today, and if you guys didn't notice, Yoenis Gomez was dropped off of the top, graduated from the prospect list, and Brendan Jones was promoted onto the top 30 for
Yes,
Pipeline.
deservingly. I think
Yeah.
that's a good choice.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
So here's a question. Someone from Hudson Valley. Are we sleeping on Jose Colmenares?
He's looked interesting. I think he had 3 hits in last night's game, the night or back-to-back nights with homers, if I'm not mistaken. I think last year he was pretty much out all year due to
Did
injury.
not play last year. Did
Okay.
not
Yeah.
play in 2022. Did
Oh
not
my
play in
God.
2020 because of COVID.
So what is he, 20,
91 career games.
what is he, 23?
23 years old. There's some pop here. His when he's played, the numbers are good.
hmm
What do we
Um,
got here? Is he's batting out? No, you can jump in on this one too.
I mean,
Batting order in the minor leagues, I think, matters
yeah, of
because it
course,
gives
he's
you
down towards the bottom. He's down towards the bottom. He has made
he's
the most of his
batting sixth
opportunity.
today,
Out sixth. Um,
right behind Omar Martinez, who I think the Yankees think can hit.
yeah. I mean, I look at him and I think about Rock Riggio. Where would he be playing if Rock Riggio was not hurt?
Good question.
Mm.
That's what I want to know. I'm
Um,
very curious here. Are we sleeping on this guy?
Maybe. Let's give him to half a season and see where he's at after that.
I mean, they've had guys who were utility types. I don't want to pin that on him because he
Mhm.
might be not a utility type. Maybe he's a solid second baseman.
Yeah.
Even recently they've had guys like that where they climb the ladder and then find, even if he gets a cup of coffee,
Mhm.
we're not really paying any attention to him. So he's got my interest at
Yeah,
this
he's
point.
flying under the radar right now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the Yankees have in him because, like I said, I didn't see him at all last season. You just confirmed that he was out all last year. I know he was on the roster in, I want to say 23 because I did see him at Tampa a couple times.
He played 26 games at
Yeah.
Tampa and he hit 7 homers in 26 games.
Yeah, and then he just fell off the radar after that.
So
But like
I
I
don't
said, I
know
didn't know
what
he was
kind of
out.
health problems he's had,
Yeah,
but they must be significant because
yeah, he's phew,
it's
season
been
and
an
a half.
organization since 2019.
Jesus. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure. But I'm definitely interested. He has looked good the last week or so. So I'm definitely all for giving him more at bats.
And he's not hitting cheapies either.
Um, I'm gonna move on. If you guys don't have anything else at Hudson Valley, I'm gonna move on to Somerset. Again, the pitching there has been really good. Cam Schlittler, 5 innings, 1 run, no walks, 5 strikeouts. He just continues to move forward. That's on the year now. He's at almost 11 innings pitched, 5 hits, just 2 runs, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts. Bailey D also had a good week, 4 and 2/3, 1 run, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. Brendan Beck, uh, his first start was 4 shutout innings, 1 hit, 4 walks, and last night he went 6 perfect innings with 5 strikeouts. Um, Beck is a guy, I think he's Rule 5 eligible if I'm not mistaken.
He's
So
got to
I
be.
yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised
Yeah.
if he moves to Somerset and maybe even gets to the Bronx, just if the Yankees want to see what they have in him. My only concern is due to the health, how fast do they move? But then again, he's Rule 5, so the clock is ticking.
He's
He
like
would
you
definitely
say
be a
his
guy to
name.
trade. Hmm?
I start holding my breath when you say his name because I feel like he's going to get hurt when you say his name out loud.
Yeah.
But man, did he look good last night.
hmm
So I'm just hoping because I think he's for real. Whatever that means, but please stay healthy
Yeah.
because this is what it looks like.
hmm I mean, I thought this is what he was going to be doing last season, and he kind of did until the injury struck.
Yeah, I think he looks better now than he did
Yeah.
last year when he was briefly back. I
hmm
mean, it's 2 starts, I get it, but what was it last night? He was in the sixth inning, and he's got like 67 pitches.
Yep.
I
Very
mean,
economical.
so good. So yes, it's early, it's 2 starts, but 2 really good starts.
hmm
And again,
Um,
Just
he's
building
not coming
blocks
out
for
of
him.
nowhere. He's a second round pick.
yeah. Let me move on to the offensive side of things. You had Cole Gabrielson hit 444, 1238 OPS, 2 extra base hits, 3 RBIs, 4 walks, 3 stolen bases. He's a guy that I definitely want them to give him as many at bats as they can. He looked real good in spring training. He was also on the breakout team. Alexander
Don't look at
Vargas
his
hit the,
strikeout percentage, though.
why do you
Just
gotta
don't
ruin
look at it
it,
right now.
man? Why do you gotta ruin it?
I said, don't look at it.
Alexander Vargas is hitting 357, 900 OPS, 2 extra base hits, 3 RBIs, a walk, a stolen base last week. On the season, he's hitting 389, 450 on base, 1,006 OPS, 3 extra base hits, 4 RBIs. And it's just very weird that he is not playing every day. I got on my soapbox last week about it, and this week it was, or last week it was more of the same, giving at bats that should be going to him to 29, 30-year-old guys that I wouldn't be surprised work for the organization uh, soon. It to me doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all.
I
And I will continue to say that Alexander Vargas makes the most out of every opportunity he's given. The guy just continues to hit, and yet for some reason he's playing what, two, maybe three times a week.
I thought I was going to get you going by bringing him up tonight. I didn't have to because you're already going on it. But you're right. He's still batting eighth. I know it's
Mhm.
early, but what are we doing here?
Yeah,
I,
I
that's,
don't get it.
I mean, do they must not like him anymore? Is what it comes down to. Where
I
he's
mean,
kind
that's
of
fine and dandy, but
he's not doing great.
you paid him almost $2 million.
And I can't see
I thought it was
that
one.
either
I thought it
because
was two and
he
a half that they
played.
gave him.
I thought it was like 1.8 million if I'm not
It was
mistaken.
2.5.
Oh, 2.5. Okay.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
and he's finally turned in the corner where he's actually producing.
And
Like,
how many
what are we
times in
doing?
spring training did they bring him across the street to play? I don't think they, I mean, I think they like him enough to do that. And they brought him in the breakout game. So this just
hmm
doesn't make sense to me.
Nope. Doesn't make any sense.
So he's going to have to leave, no doubt. That's what it comes down to.
It's funny because I had him on the podcast and he mentioned something of the sorts that before he left Cuba that he played in a tournament where they basically told him, hey, if you want to be the starting shortstop, you're gonna have to play at this level, whatever. And he came back, he said, and I played at that level and then some, and they still didn't make me the starting shortstop. And I think if I'm not mistaken, he said at that point I knew I got to get out of here.
I was going to bring this up when we got to Scranton, but I do think the Yankees do a good job of self-scouting. I
Yeah.
think the last however many years has borne that out. But does sometimes maybe you think a guy get a book on him in the organization and then they have trouble seeing him? If he, it's hard for me to look at him or like maybe a guy, and not to jump ahead here, but with Vivas at Scranton, he's more the player now that I think that they would have thought they were getting last year.
Mhm.
Um, but we're not really hearing anything about him.
Yeah.
So is this a case with Vargas where maybe because he scuffled the last few years, that now it's just
I mean, I
we're
get
just
that,
he just
but
not he's gonna have to turn some heads around to
I
to
mean, I get
increase the
that, but
status.
it seems more consistent this time, right? And I know that it's early, but he did hit in spring training. He was hitting at the end of last season. I think he hit about 260, 270 in the second half, if I'm not mistaken. It looked like something within him clicked. So I
It
don't
doesn't look like an
understand.
aberration, like
Yeah,
we
I don't
said. I mean,
understand why we're not exploring that.
the swings look better.
I
I mean,
mean,
all that stuff looks
if you
better.
have a
Yeah.
legitimate shortstop, I think there's value in that. If your decision is to continue on with Volpe, I don't understand why he's not getting played 5, 6 times a week.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be that Marcus said that the book on there might be a book on him, or maybe it's the other way around where it's hey they want George Lombard is the flavor of the month right now or flavor of the past few months. Maybe it's
Yeah,
hey,
but
we don't want to get our
they're not in the same league though.
yeah true, but they might be the Yankees might be prepping to move them up. They don't want Vargas there kind of blocking the way, which is wild
Okay,
to me. Right?
okay.
Which is wild. I'm not,
No,
but at that point like
they both can
they
play
got to
third.
move. Yeah.
They both can
They,
play third
but
base and second
then,
base.
true, but don't forget, like they did this last year with Roderick
Yeah,
and George, and they both suffered because of it. So I think what they're doing is they're just clearing a path for Lombard Jr. to begin his progression up. Because if he could listen, if Lombard still hits the way he's hitting right now, if it's still like a month and a half later, there's no reason. I think they're going to move him up faster. I think they're going to take him to Double A, and having Vargas there might be the reason why. Like, hey, 2 games a week, you're good. You're good there.
but
Then we'll figure out.
Vargas could just as easily move to second base.
But this is the Yankees we're talking about too, and this is honestly this is the Yankees we're talking about, and they're kind of there's some funny things that they do with their international guys. You know what I mean? Like they don't push those guys as well as they push the U.S. draftees, and that's not something, and that's something we've talked about before, Carlos. But
Yeah, we've talked about
you know, and it just might be one of those things right now. Like, hey, we're just going to make sure that there is no that the freeway is there for Lombard Jr. until there's no freeway for him. And hell with what happens. Just what Vargas can get, whatever he wants. We've already kind of seen him. This might be, he might have finally turned the corner. This will be good for a trade, trade down the line or something like that.
I think that's
I
the
don't know,
key,
but
right? Like even if they don't think he's a player for them, I mean, who a
yeah.
middle infielder who's athletic and can hit
why
is an
depreciate his
attractive
value?
trade
Why
player.
depreciate his value?
Yeah, right.
look what they've done before. They did the same thing with Esteban Florial. They were doing that with Oswald Peraza. They depreciated both the values of those guys immensely.
Well, let me round out the list on the offense. You have Tyler Hardman. He hit 313, 889 OPS, 3 extra base hits, 3 RBIs. Spencer Jones, for me, was the player of the week in the entire system. He hit 300, 417 base, 1167 OPS, 3 extra base hits, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs, 4 walks, 3 stolen bases. He had a monster week.
And I know we keep talking about it, but I'm just gonna say his strikeout percentage right now is 36%. I'm not gonna put my opinion on it just yet, but I'll tell you what it is after I ask you. If he's got numbers like that, can you live with a 36% strikeout rate?
I mean, my hope was that he would get to like 30%. I'm not even getting to under that. I'm just saying, hey, at 30%, and I'm ready to move him to the next level.
All right, I'm fine with 36%. If these are his other numbers,
I mean, yeah,
that does not bother me.
And I've said that before. I'm like, outside of the strikeout rate, all the other numbers look good for him.
Yeah. And I think you're right that that's what the word's going to be is that he really needs to get down because the track record for minor leaguers with strikeout percentages that high, they don't translate well to the major leagues. But I don't really look around and see a lot of guys like him.
Yeah,
So
no,
I'm not going to try to measure
definitely an
him against other
aberration.
people just yet.
Yeah. On the other side of things, Trent Seller is still struggling to get going. 7.36 ERA, 7 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 6 runs, 4 walks, 10 strikeouts. Um, I hope that he would have got started a bit better than this. It's still early though. Um, you mentioned Spencer Jones. I think as of heading into tonight, he was at 36 at bats, 15 Ks.
Yeah, he struck out
39
twice
at
today.
bats, 17. Yeah,
Well, yeah,
39 at bats. Yeah.
yeah. And Jesus Rodriguez was struggling to get off the blocks, but he was just promoted to Scranton, and he has been playing well at Scranton.
I did not think that he was going to beat Flores to Scranton.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was very surprised by that. But I'm guessing the reason is because he's on the 40 man.
I think so too.
Mm.
And he caught at Scranton already.
Yeah, he has been catching there. All right, moving on to Scranton on the offensive side of things.
Carlos, you were saying about people who are having tough time getting off the block. I mean, even though it's only one game, I mean, Antonio Gomez. I mean, that one right there is still like I remember everyone. He was the flavor of the month for a while in the catching prospects when he was in the lower minor leagues, and now, I mean, his bat is non-existent.
I mean, he did have a good week at Hudson Valley. I think he showed a little bit more pop last year. But yeah, he's struggled outside of Tampa. He has been struggling.
I mean, I don't know if you've talked to him or not, but I mean, I think he's got to be Rule 5 this year too. I mean, maybe he wasn't. I think he was Rule 5. No one picked him up, so I mean, he could be a minor league free agent after this year, I should say.
Yeah, I think he is. But no, I don't speak to him. All right, moving on to Scranton. TJ Brumfield, 385, 579 on base percentage, 1194 OPS, 3 extra base hits, 4 RBIs, 5 walks. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he's second in the league in RBIs in the International League. He's hitting 315 on the season, 1132 OPS, 9 extra base hits, 3 home runs. He's walking more than he's striking out. He's doing everything that he needs to be doing to get to the next level, in my opinion.
That's true. I don't know what else he's supposed to do.
I don't know why they don't. I don't know why they're not giving him a look. I mean, he was a former Gold Glove minor leaguer. He handles the bat well. He
Mm.
might not have as much pop as Ben Rice, but he hits for better average, plays defense at an excellent level. I mean, what it's kind of like we're talking about Vargas. What can he do? Why aren't they giving him a look? Why aren't they giving him a TJ Rumsfeld look? Like
Yeah,
this could be this could be a perfect option going forward for first base. Goldschmidt's on a 1 year deal. Like you can then get TJ Rumsfeld into that first base, have someone good there, and he got Yankee Stadium hits it. I that's something to me like it doesn't make sense to me that they don't have him up there or at least give him a shot.
Yeah, Ben Rice is going to need a place to play, and
Mm.
he's definitely in front of him in line. I looked around the league just to see who could use a guy like Rumfield, and
Mhm.
you look at even teams that are struggling a little bit. They have guys where they might be like him, or they have a right-handed first baseman that complements their left-handed first baseman who might be a little bit better, or a similar type of prospect or young player. So I feel bad for the guy because it's really hard to break through as a first base only guy or a DH if that were to
Yeah,
happen.
but I think in his case, he's a legitimate first baseman.
He's a legitimate first
Yeah,
baseman.
he's not a, oh, we don't have anywhere to put him. Let's stick him at first base. No, he's a legit first baseman.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't I don't know where the job is for him that's going to open up. It just take a look at Eric Wagemans with the Marlins, right?
Mm.
And there's a guy who was in the Yankee system for a long time and now he's logging major league time. That's going to be I think what Rumfield's just there's going to be a time when he's a major leaguer. I just don't see it being with the Yankees.
Mm. The other guy who had a good week was Ishmael Mungaya, 313, 400 on base percentage, 775 OPS, an extra base hit, an RBI, 3 walks, stolen bases. We've spoken about him before. The guy's a very good table setter. Yorbe Vivas to me had an awesome week. He had 313, 429 on base, 804 OPS, extra base hits, 5 RBIs, 4 walks. On the year, Vivas is hitting 333, 943 OPS, 6 extra base hits, 2 home runs. I think he's got 14 RBIs, and he did lead the league, and he did lead the international heading into today. And he has an amazing walk rate, strikeout rate. If I'm not mistaken, his strikeout rate was like a 6%.
6%.
Yeah, something like that.
This is the
Um,
prospect they traded for.
no,
And that
he's playing way above that right now.
Yeah, I mean, but this is last year, an orbital fracture, and then I
Mhm.
think followed that up with a concussion.
Yeah.
Two devastating injuries for a baseball player. So that's why I was wondering,
Yeah.
like, did they just think when they got to look at him last year as an organization, not be able to really get a sense of what he can do, and now this is the real guy, and man, this is a hell of a start.
Yeah, absolutely. He's off to a great year, great start to the season. Definitely gonna keep an eye on him, and hopefully he continues to rake. Onto the pitching side of things, Sean Boyle finally had a really good start. 5 shutout innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Zach Messenger pitched 3 and 2/3 inning, 2 runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Yerry De Los Santos has looked very good to start. 2 and a third, 1 hit, no run, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts.
And we were talking about who was going to get the tap on the shoulder when they needed a guy, and it was
Mm-hmm.
Winans because I forgot about him. And not Lee Brandt, but
Mm-hmm.
he's already back down now.
Oh, he's on the shuttle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Tuning in for my weekly into the weekly Jasson Dominguez watch last night as a right-handed hitter. Came up with the bases loaded. He hit a 1-2 pitch down the line, knocked in all 3 runs. Uh, he has looked really good, really, really good as of late. Um, Over the last 12 games, I looked at it at his numbers. He was hitting 302 with a 362 OPS, on base percentage, 850 OPS. He's got 5 doubles, a home run, 8 RBIs. The strikeout rate is a little bit higher than I expected from him. He's a little over 27%. But he looks like he's finally got a little bit of his swagger back, and we're seeing that in the defense. And I'm wondering if that's why we're seeing him play a lot better defense of late.
Did you get worked up last night when he came out of the game after hitting that double?
I didn't. I didn't. I was more pissed the night before where he was playing solid defensively, and then all of a sudden they replaced him with a guy that they said wasn't
Yeah.
going to be in the lineup because he had a bad back or something like that. That to me made absolutely no sense. Last night I was just like, it is what it is, man.
Well, I mean, the story came out that he lost his
Yeah, I know.
contacts. And that's why he came out of the
Mhm.
Yeah.
game. I just thought that was interesting that The people want after you hit the double and everybody's ticked off for taking him out of
Because
the
it's
game.
because it's been the MO
Yeah,
of Boone to keep replacing him, and like I said, and I've said it, at some point to continue to build this confidence, you're gonna have to stop doing that.
yeah.
And I know it's
But
early.
they were playing him for a bit too. Don't forget, like they did this in the beginning, then they stopped for a little while. They let him play a handful of like full games, and then they kind of reverted backwards again.
I mean, sometimes like the game is out of hand, so I don't understand why you're pulling him. If the game is out of hand, how's he gonna hurt you? I like I said, it's early on. I'm hoping as we start getting into the midway of the season that we see this less and less.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation too because the with how shaky the pitching staff has been, the offense has been really good, and you've got Trent Grisham. It would make sense to get him some playing time. They got right now more guys than they can play.
Mhm.
They all have a claim to playing, and so that could have something to do with it. When you bring Grisham in the game, they're not really losing anything, but you're also not getting Dominguez that development time that he's going to need later in the later innings because I'm going to assume that the plan is that the end of the year they don't want to be doing that,
Hopefully not. Oh, and I did look up
Yeah,
his DRS. He's a +3 right now, which puts him at number 2 for left field behind Tommy Pham's 4.
which is a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, especially for someone who we constantly heard and saw John Boy and company talking Yanks, posting every time, Dominguez would sneeze out in left field. So it's a little surprising.
Yeah,
but
considering
if even today's game, like they were talking about Jason yesterday, when Paul O'Neill was giving him his flowers and whatnot, and all of a sudden, then the next, like right after that, it's Michael K having to say something about like bringing the negative in there, and I just don't know if it's what the Yankees are trying to put out there. Make sure that you hear like, oh, he's doing good, but don't forget to knock him down off his pedestal just a little bit. Like, don't get him that comfortable there. It's the craziest thing because you never heard that about Volpe. When Volpe was up there, man, Michael K was on his knees when it came to Anthony Volpe.
it's
Oh
kind of
man.
a weird situation where like I think Yankee fans in general love it when they bring up their prospects to play and those guys become players for them. But they go to
Mhm.
the World Series last year, so already the expectations are through the roof.
Mhm.
And here you've got Volpe and Wells and Dominguez and Rice, all these young guys hitting, and you've got Peraza and Cabrera
Peraza
on the
and
team.
Cabrera. Yeah.
Yeah, and that we should be really excited about that, and I think a lot of people are, but for the amount of complaining that we hear about them, you wouldn't think so. It gets all wrapped up in the same
Uh,
swirl
I
of
think it's I think it's a
of
lot of Yankee fans want the Yankees to call up the young kids, but then they're expecting them to produce right away.
yeah.
It's like they plant seeds today and want to eat apples tomorrow, and that's just not the way it works.
As
Yeah.
long as they don't make any outs or any errors or
Yeah.
any base running
Yeah,
mistakes,
no,
No, you can't. You
then
can't.
they're good.
You can't strike out. You got to hit a home run every time, and you can't. You have to make everything. Everything has to be perfect.
And then you're
But
fine.
even going Carlos, yeah, and Carlos, going back to what you were saying before, like the past 12 games, if you go back to Dominguez on average for the whole season, at one point the third. He was the third. His batting average was the third best, taking out Grisham because Grisham doesn't play as much. But out of everyone who's been playing most of the time, it's you got Judge who's tops in average. Then you got Goldsmith. Then Dominguez going into the game, he was at 275.
mm,
Now that's something to build on, and that's an offensive player that you need. Not
Yeah.
just the first inning, you need him in the ninth inning. Just if you're making a comeback, you have to have that guy there.
I
and,
was
and
thinking about like not the counting numbers, but just the OPS and that part of it. If those numbers stayed like that all season, you feel pretty good about that, right? For a
Mhm.
rookie. I mean, it's he's had a good April.
I mean, I said this at the beginning of the season. Yankee fans are gonna have to be patient with him. He's still developing, right? He's gonna make mistakes. The point is to learn from those mistakes. But if you're harping on him and you're getting on him for every time he makes a mistake, I don't know what you're expecting out of him.
Carlos, I
I
just
mean,
want to let you know you just said a sentence that began with Yankee fans are going to have to be patient.
Um, all right, man. All right, man. We'll let you guys get out of here. As always, I appreciate you coming on, Mark and Marcus. The guys, trying to march the next milestone, which is 3,500 subs. You could do me the favor, hit that sub, hit the like, and help the channel grow. I appreciate all of you, both of you guys, and everyone else in the channel. Have a good night.
Thanks
Bye,
very
guys.
much.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you guys.